Hello everyone and welcome to BrainQueen, where I speak to students from all over the University of Cape Town, and hopefully you can find some value from their stories, their struggles and their wins. And today I had the privilege of speaking to Estelle Van Tonder, and she's doing her 5th year of medical studies at the University of Cape Town. I asked Estelle where she grew up and what her experience was like.
I grew up in a small town in the Northwest Province. I'm from Potchefstroom. It's a small university town. Yeah, I'm very privileged to have grown up there since it's small compared to a large city. So I enjoyed growing up there, but I really enjoyed coming to Cape Town as well, experiencing what it is like to live in a bigger city with more diversity, different cultures, and meeting a bit more different people compared to what I was used to growing up.
What inspired you to pursue a career in medicine, and when did you realize that that was your calling?
Yeah, it's not a straightforward answer. It's a bit of a longer answer, but yeah, I grew up in a family of like biology, and medicine was something that I was familiar with growing up. My mom was a biology teacher, and my dad is a GP. Yeah, he worked in the military, also did some work for the United Nations. Yeah, so I was familiar with it growing up, but I never put too much pressure or thought into what I'm going to do after school. And then when grade 11 came by, I realized, oh, shucks, I have to apply for something. And I've always been like strong in academics, and I've never put pressure on myself to get a certain percentage, but I've always done well. And so people have always wondered, am I going to study medicine? And and then grade 11, I got admitted to hospital for a spontaneous pneumothorax. So the listeners who do not know what's that.
I also don't know what that is.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so it's when one of your lungs spontaneously collapse and your chest cavity fills with air, and this happens spontaneously. Nothing happened. There's no cause behind it. And yeah, I was admitted to the hospital, got a massive operation, was in the ICU for a week. Yeah, I realized then, it was about at the end of grade 11, that there really is more to life than what I was doing at the moment with life. I enjoyed life, but I just felt there is a lot more to life, and that I am quite a serious person, or I want to do something with the rest of my life that is going to leave something behind. And I've always loved people, and I really love speaking to different people, and I have no problem building quick relationships with new people, and having conversation with them. And I didn't want to study medicine just because I felt it really was the expected thing, not from my family at all. They were extremely encouraging in whatever I wanted to do. But I felt from people around me, medicine is a hard degree to get into. And I wasn't only strong in academics, I did a lot of other sports and cultural things and so on. So I was a well-balanced student. And I found that, people have expected that type of student to probably go into medicine. So I've gotten a lot of questions all over the years while I was in high school about, am I going to study medicine? And I was just like, no, I don't want to. No, the way you put it, it doesn't sound good the way people put it. So I didn't entertain the idea really.
So you wanted to know like what you're going to study was your decision, and you didn't just do that because you felt it was something that you needed to do.
Yeah, for sure. Sad or a bit irritating actually that people around us I'd make assumptions about you and so on. So I didn't really entertain the idea of studying medicine and thought of other health science degrees because health science just fit me perfectly. I am passionate about health myself, looking after myself and so on. So I thought of physiotherapy, dietetics. After this whole situation of being admitted in the hospital, I just realized I love how broad medicine is, and that if you are interested in like sports medicine, you can go into sports medicine out of medicine. If you are interested in dietetics, you can go into that as a doctor. Yeah, so I thought, let me apply and I'll see what happens. And that will kind of be the sign of if I have to do this or if I don't have to do this. If the door opens, it's meant to be. If the door doesn't open, it's not meant to be. And yeah, long story short, I got admission to UCT, and as the year went on, when I was in matric, I just got more keen and keen on the idea and realized I don't have a backup plan, and this is the only thing that I want to do. And I don't know how it was always in me. I just didn't want to see that I should study medicine. So when I look back, I see all the signs kind of pointing me to medicine. I just didn't want to take hold of it, but I'm so thankful that my eyes did open at one point. Yeah.
Wow, no, that's amazing, and thank you for sharing that. How do you balance your academic workload with your personal life and other responsibilities?
Yeah, I feel this is one every student will struggle with at one point or another, especially when you're in first and second year, when you haven't got the hang of how university is yet and the workload. So I was not too good at it in first and second year, balancing life and workload. But I really felt after second year that, I got the hang of it a bit better. I mean, you still have to remind yourself every day that you have to take time for yourself and balance work and life. And what I found, I mentioned in high school, I was a very balanced student, well-rounded student. And I thought back to that time in high school and wondered how on earth did I do everything? And what I realized is I chose to fill my day with other things, because if you don't fill your day with other things, you only have time, or the time you have, you will only spend on what you have filled your day with. And what we as students fill our day with is going to lectures, studying, and so forth. So it's not going to happen by itself. You have to schedule stuff in. So what I've been doing since third year is to just actively schedule things into my day that makes my day busier, but it has a positive effect overall on your academics and your mental health and on life overall. And at the end, the more you have to do in terms of different things you have to do, the more you can do and the more time efficient you will be. So I try to be time efficient with my time, because I know I have other things scheduled later in the day, so you waste less time, if that makes sense.
Yes, it's actually reminding me of something that Jay Shetty said, that it's not about the amount of time you put in different tasks, but it's the amount of energy you put that's going to make the difference. When you face difficult obstacles, what are some strategies that you use to overcome them, or some mindsets?
Yeah, I think I've had a tough year so far in terms of workload, academics, and what I've been saying to myself is really being a student is a lifelong thing. We're never going to stop learning. But in terms of the pressure and the stress that there is around writing tests and passing and doing well is only temporary. We are going to be lifelong learners, but the stress of studying for a test and trying to remember everything is just temporary. So it will pass. And tough weeks will pass as well. So it's not going to be like this forever. So I think that's an important thing for me to remember. And that my academics, I need to know what I'm learning. It's important for my future career. So when there's, an obstacle of having to learn a mountain of work, I just think, well, I need to know this at some point. Might as well just learn it now and push through. And then I think an important thing is to reward yourself with then, an off weekend after, or a time of rest after the obstacle, to recharge. And
Okay. Yes, I also agree with that, to recharge. I actually struggled with this a lot last year during my honors year. I almost never took a break, and I could feel like I was, stepping into that burnout phase, or like you could feel going towards that. So yeah, it's very important to take days off. I agree with that. Is there anything that you've learned during your university life that you would want to share with your future children one day?
I think I've seen a lot of students that are here that I don't know why they're here. So I think an important thing coming into university is to be in the right degree and as a starting point before even starting university. And I know it's difficult to choose what degree you have to go into. And something I would encourage younger students, if you don't know what degree you want to do, I feel like there's other two options. You can go for something that you have a faint hope for that this will be for you. Kind of like what happened to me. I didn't take a gap year. I just went on, a faint feeling. And once I applied, it grew so much stronger and I got so much certainty. So I would say that, or the second option is to take a gap year. I don't think taking a gap year is a bad thing. It wouldn't have been the right thing for me. To look at alternative career options, I think we're very focused on traditional career options, and there's so many interesting careers that you don't have to go to university for necessarily, or where you can study something in university and use it in a completely different way once you get started in your career. So I would say as a starting point to just consider what you're going to study and consider alternatives. And then in terms of university itself, being in university now, if you do go to university, there's so many phases of university, especially if you study for long, undergrad and postgrad, or just a long undergrad. You go through so many phases. And I know it's cliche, but you have to really take care of yourself. Otherwise, if the tank is empty, you won't be able to go on, to fill your tank, which is hard. It is cliche, but it is important. And then, as we said, to fill your day with things outside of the field that you work in, because we get so wrapped up in our fields that we do. If it's art, we get so into the art world. If it's medicine, it sucks you in. I think it's important to have things outside of that, have friends outside of that, and to just really go for whatever. There's so many opportunities at university, and to not be scared. I think is a big. Well, you can be scared, but don't stay on. Everyone has fear for new things. And it's fine if you're still nervous about something, to just ignore it for a moment and just go for opportunities where you'll meet new people and have new experiences, because at the end, that is going to help you grow so much more. And the faster you get into uncomfortable situations, the faster you'll get comfortable. I think that's really my motto that I've learned over the past year, is the sooner you force yourself into uncomfortable situations, the sooner you'll start the process of being comfortable in that situation. So if you're going to put off being uncomfortable, you're always going to stay uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
It does. I really like it. I've never heard it in that way. I really, really love it. I've always heard seek discomfort, step out of your comfort zone. But this is a great one. Thank you. So how would you define success in your career or in your life? Not necessarily just your career. How would you define success overall?
I think there's a lot to say on this one, and people have probably said a lot about this. I mean, I'm sure people have written many books, many podcasts about this. And at the end, what is the point if you are not happy? Like, what is the point really of everything? Everything will pass, and people will remember you. Your name will be on a board for some award or whatever, but nothing really matters if you aren't happy. And I think a big thing for me, and we work so hard when you're in university, and then when you get out of university, something for me will really be to be in a location, in a field, specifically in medicine, that I really am happy to be in, and that we are really, if you are happy, I'm sure you will have what we think when we hear success, because I think when we hear success, we think of being the head of the department, being, having a list of postgrad degrees or diplomas or so forth behind your name. I'm sure that when you are happy, when you are in a space where you are happy, maybe those things will come naturally, but the main thing really for me is to prioritize wherever I am, in whichever field, whichever location in South Africa, is really to be in a space where I am happy after all these years of studying, to kind of, I don't want to say make it worth it. And then if you are happy, for us where we work with people, you won't last in medicine if you, I've always wondered, like, comparing medicine to some of the other degrees, you won't last if you are not really ready to serve people. And if you are not ready to be in the dumps, and for most of the time, well, that's how it is in the public sector. So I think when you're happy, when I will be happy in my career, my quality of work will be great as well.
And then for people who are wondering, so how do you become happy? What would you say to them?
I think it's actually to realize that you are unhappy. We settle and we compromise, and we think we can't get out of certain situations or out of certain times in our life. While if you recognize, I'm not happy, I'm not thriving, I'm not saying when there are hard times you should get out of it, because I tell you, life is hard, and it's never going to be, you're never going to be happy all the time. Yeah, and you can't then say, okay, but something's wrong, I need to get out of this, and this is maybe not even for me. Because I tell you, I've many times where I think, what on earth did I do to myself to choose this degree? And what am I doing here? So I'm not saying in terms of that. I'm talking about your very long, dark, unhappy periods in your life. And I think it's important to recognize this is not good. Wherever I am, whatever I'm doing is not good for me, short term and especially long term. And then you can go from there, because if we are blind and don't know that something's wrong, how can we take steps to get to another place, So I think it's important, to get back to your question, to realize that it's fine to admit you are not in a good space, or that you are not in a place where you want to be, and then evaluating kind of, is this just because the degree is giving me a hard time, or I'm in a job that I have to be in for now to work my way up? Because that will happen as well. You will start at the bottom. It's not going to be nice. You're not going to have a good time starting at the bottom of like a business, but you have to start there because that's where you start and you work your way up. So that's different.
Can you explain a situation or experience where you were afraid, but despite that fear, you still did it, and that then became your comfort zone? Initially, it was discomfort, but then it became your comfort zone?
I think that's university for me. Since I walked in here, it's been uncomfortable. Since first year, since I walked in here, it's been uncomfortable. And I've just been trying to reach a spot of being comfortable till then. And what I love about medicine specifically is every day is uncomfortable. Like when we walk into the wards and there's a doctor grinding you or roasting you, that's just how it is. And that's how you learn. A specific experience, if I try to think more specifically than just saying university has been challenging. I think from fourth year, start a bit more like clinical hospital work. It's really been a challenge to kind of step into the role of being a student intern or a student doctor, kind of. And since fourth year, it's really become a reality that we are going to be doctors in 3 years' time, which has been a bit scary. While you're very sheltered in first, second, and third year, it's very much like a BSc degree with some extra things. But I felt from fourth year, it was quite scary to see how much patients trust you, and you're just the student, but they don't know the difference. If you talk to them, you're the doctor. And it's scary to realize that in 2 or 3 years, for me, it's now 2 years. I'm graduating next December. In 2 years this time, I'm an intern doctor working in a hospital. And so since fourth year, I've been in a lot of uncomfortable situations with patients and then doctors that are roasting you with bedside questions and diagnosis and treatment. And as I said, what I've just tried to do since fourth year is when there's someone who needs a procedure done and I've never done the procedure before, I volunteer for it. Even though I've never done it before, but I need to know it now before I graduate. So if there's an opportunity, university is still a safe space to ask questions, ask your lecturers questions, make mistakes. University is still a safe space. So as students, we can take risks. Well, when we start working, you have to think what you're doing because it will have implications. And this applies to any degree.
And then what would you say is the most important quality for a successful medical student or physician? And how do you cultivate that quality within yourself?
Resilience above everything, because motivation will go away. Motivation won't keep you here. Passion won't keep you here. You come in as a first year student thinking you're going to save the world or whatever, going to become the surgeon. And it's good to have dreams, but motivation, discipline is higher than motivation. Motivation won't keep you here. Discipline and resilience will keep you here and I think that all this actually applies to life really as well. This doesn't only apply to university, but I think resilience above everything else is the most important quality. And I think if you look at the word resilience of even what it means and the factors that go into cultivating resilience in you, it's being able to continue to stand or continue to walk even though it's chaos around you and arrows are just being shot at you from every corner, but you are able to still stand up and continue. And I think resilience is also to obviously get up when you fall, but I don't think you'll last if you don't have resilience to withstand, or not withstand, but to continue, even though there's very dark times and very tough times, where you're able to still, where you can still push through. And I think that you can also apply that to other degrees, but the emotional and physical toll that it has on you, you need to have emotional resilience, and you need to have physical resilience, because medicine is also a physical. You're up on your feet for long hours. It's physical exhaustion and then emotional exhaustion. And you need to have resilience to be able to go through that. And there are tools that you can obviously look into to help build resilience.
How would you say your faith in God has helped you throughout this entire journey?
Yeah, this is the cornerstone or the base of why I'm still here. Resilience and being uncomfortable and all that I've spoken about will only get you that far. I always wonder, how did I end up here and how am I still here? I don't really know how to answer that question otherwise to say that I've really been sustained and I've really been just carried through everything and really been held in God's hands through all of this, and yeah, been carried through and been provided for. And I do believe I've been called to do medicine. I do believe that that our calling in life is not our job necessarily. I do believe our highest calling is giving glory to God in everything we do. And then secondly, making his name known, and then, saving the world and finding out the cancer cure is later on the list. I've definitely been strategically placed by God in medicine, into the field of medicine, where he can use me. Well, I pray he uses me, with my interaction with patients and with other doctors and whatnot. Yeah, I wouldn't be here without him sustaining me. And even though you don't always feel like it, when you look back, you see like evidence of him always being there and always having my back and providing me actually with everything that I've needed.
And then lastly, what is your word for the year?
I've actually had words for every year. My word last year was keen. So my word last year was keen. I'm just keen for everything, for anything. If you ask me something, keen.
I'm keen.
Yeah, I'm keen. My word for this year, I don't know if I'll be able to get one word for the year.
You can have 2 or 3 or...
But I think I started off the year, take my foot off the petrol and just put on a brake. I'm continuing to work hard this year, and I'm continuing to learn a lot and work hard, but just taking a step back this year before I'm in my final year next year, and stressed up about everything. So maybe my word is a break.
Or something like just stop and take a moment to smell the roses. Something like that.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
Let's see. Okay. So just to take a break a bit and just to enjoy where you are, like your present moment, to be present in this moment. Let's see. Estelle, thank you so much for sharing your journey and all these valuable life lessons. I appreciate you joining the podcast episode. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much. You must enjoy your weekend as well.
Okay, that brings us to the end of BrainQueen episode 6. And if you really like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, BrainQueen. Until next time, bye.